And we'll get well. It's this is actually GarageBand. This is GarageBand. We're not on Logic. Logic costs what, $200? This is the free GarageBand.
Yeah.
Well, what's up, man? Welcome to the podcast. I'm very happy to have you here today. On the ice room. I caught you a little bit. You're not ready here. You're.
We're good.
It's all right. I'll sing a song real quick. Yeah, I have some seltzers. I have some of these grape Happy Dads. I bought these. I just wanted to try these. Yeah, these are. You want one of these? I got some of these. I have Michelob's, and then I have a bunch of different High Noon flavors in here. If you want something like that. Doesn't say proper nouns, and then but alcohol we can discuss. Alcohol isn't gonna fire me from my job, my place of work.
We are not associated with Happy Dad whatsoever. So what's up, man?
Nothing much.
How's life?
I'm just chilling really today. I figured I'd give you a second here. Oh no, you're rolling. You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
What was going on today? You were telling me that you just went on a run, actually.
Yes. So, I live next to Echo Lake Park. And those of you who live in Jersey know what Echo Lake Park is. And I run a soccer field. I do sprints.
Oh, okay. That's right. We've talked about this a little bit before. Yeah. That's right. You've told me that you do sprints like that. I've actually been getting into some running recently, too. I ran a couple times. I ran like 3-4 times last week. But I've just been running like a mile. I don't run for like speed like that. I've been running but we talked about this. I remember you were telling me that you do the sprints.
Yeah.
What exactly is your thought process behind that again?
So I do it more because I need to just relax, take it slow, and relax a little bit more.
Take it slow. You're sprinting.
I mean, it's not really. It's the feeling you get when you sprint.
Yeah.
Or when you run, in general.
No, I'll agree with that. I definitely enjoy the runner's high that they talk about. I agree with that for the most part, but I don't. I see like when I get out there, that's why I prefer running outside to a treadmill, because when you're outside, you're looking at the trees and the birds and. You're just running down the road, you feel like you're a part of it. Feet touching the ground.
Yeah.
Sprint.
At the same time, too, I'm going to let you finish, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But, when I'm running, I try not to listen to any music. Or listen to my music,
That's interesting. Mike actually just recently told me the same thing. When he's at the gym, he doesn't listen to music.
Yeah. It's around the ambience. There's ambience around everywhere. There's beauty in everything. So
I told him I love music at the gym. I feel like it locks me in a zone when I'm listening to music in the gym. I like to have my energy drink, my caffeine, and just get dialed in. I get a little high. Don't tell my mother, but that's what I do.
Good for the joints. Definitely good for the joints.
That's right. That's why I'm getting high for sure.
And see, that's the thing too. It's crazy because whenever you need to put yourself in a state of relaxation in order to get things done. You can't be stressed about things. You need to know how to relax, know yourself, know your body, know your limits. So if you are going to do legs on a Thursday or something strenuous, and you just want to get outside of your mind for a little bit, like maybe your life is going crazy or something happened to you, maybe you went through a breakup. It doesn't matter what it is. But so if you want to get outside of your mind, you go to the gym, you be creative, you do things like this. For most people, it's go to the gym.
Yeah.
Now, football used to be that thing.
I see what you're saying. It relaxes you to a certain point. You're saying when you do go to the gym or when you go for a run.
Yeah. But I mean, especially if you want to smoke before, then that's perfect.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying that relaxes me for the gym.
It can.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, for some
saying.
people, like what you got set up here is something that people don't do. So I mean, this could be strenuous. It could bring a lot of anxiety to you. Some people don't have things like this. Some people just have work, go home, see the kids, work, go home, see the kids. They need to have something that pushes them completely. You know, I mean, they're not saying that they don't push themselves in normal life. I mean something that pushes their heart rate or something that makes them
heart
go
rate
crazy.
Well, are you also saying though, like, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think that I would agree with both those things, but I feel like those are a little separate. You know, I like to have something, like you said, for a run or to go to the gym that pushes my heart rate for my health. But I also feel like it's important, like you said, this is something that people don't do. Like, this is a goal of mine.
Yeah. Something
that I work on, you know, besides, you know, work and what you said, coming home from work or whatever. You know, this is a goal. So, I mean, yeah.
It's a part of you as well.
So I think that is interesting. I'd agree with that. I don't know if that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. That's what I was
I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but like,
you're good.
I think that is interesting. You know, definitely is important to have like a, you know, I feel like I've always had goals like in mind, whether it's been this or it's been like other things. I mean, I think you can relate to that.
Yes, absolutely. I've always had goals, and the thing with me is always like, I'm going to do this. Like when I was in my early 20s, I was like this. God, I'm so old. But like, but like, I'm just thinking to myself that like, especially after college. I mean, I was like this for forever because I was really disciplined from football and just being a part of something bigger than myself and being a part of a team. So it's like
I'll agree with that. I like being part of a team. I feel like it's important. I feel like our job is we're a part of a team. Like it scratches that itch, but like I do like enjoy. Yeah. In a certain sense. I mean, sometimes we're not. Listen, we can get into that. We can get. I don't mean to derail you. But I mean, yeah, you're saying you got that from like football, like.
Yeah. Just a form of discipline. You know, like you need to. If you're gonna do something, it doesn't. The job's not done until it's done. You know. I mean, like if you have something, but then again, life being. I mean,
but certain people are like goal oriented and don't like always finish the job. Like sometimes I'll be like, you know, grand with schemes of like, oh, I want to do this and I want to record some music and I want to do that. Like I want to finish the table and the walls, but like, you know, that's what I'm saying. So you're still goal oriented. Like you want to do things, but you're not always getting them all done.
You're not going to get everything done. That's the thing about life. Like something happens and you think things are going great, and then all of a sudden it's like it just doesn't work well.
Are you saying perhaps that maybe the football and like the physical activity of going and getting something done might help?
It can, yes.
With getting stuff done in the creative world of just like, you know, putting your feet down and running up that hill metaphorically.
Exactly. I mean, you're exercising your mind, your body, and your soul, really. Like with what you're doing. I try to do all three, really. And I kind of just think about it now, and I'm like, okay, this makes so much sense. Well, so to exercise your mind, you need to be outside of your mind, and you work on your physical body that's here, you know?
That's very interesting. I always say that the physical activity helps me get my mind right. Like I tell people, like, go to the gym, like it'll help you work on your mind. So I agree with that 100%. Yeah. Being outside, but I've never really known it to be fact. It's interesting. I always feel like you're a bit of an oracle, you know, of knowledge. You definitely.
I understood. I understand a lot of things. I don't know where it came from, but I understand a lot of things. And part of that's being like being on my own, moving away. But you know, like when we talk about the physical body here, who we are as a person. When we pass song, we're not going to be like our physical body is not going to be a part of us. This is just our vessel that's here on this planet. Our vessel that's used to communicate with another soul. Interesting.
Now, I was thinking that I wrote that down in my notes, but I was hoping to maybe get into this towards the end of our podcast. But so you're saying that you think that your soul will then detach from your physical form and then potentially, so what's your thought of where exactly that goes? Or you're just saying that you know it to be true almost?
I know it to be true.
Yeah.
I am.
Do you have
sort of religious?
Yeah.
In that sense, if we're talking about a higher power going to a better place, all I know is that death isn't over. It's not over with death.
Interesting. You know, sometimes I make the jokes that like, you know, turn me into a robot. You know, they're freezing people. They freeze people's. There's a service that does this currently where you could freeze people, and their hopes are that they could get the brain and the nervous system out of that person and put it into another object, and that person could go on living their life, which makes sense.
Walt Disney.
Exactly. He's who they joke about, but literally you could look it up. It's a website. People pay to have this done. There's a ton of people frozen in hopes that
I believe it because
that will work.
Like Clonade is a real thing.
Yeah,
they clone human beings.
They have been getting really good at that. Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely, and that's so interesting that you bring that up because like when we're talking about what we're doing with the mind, body, and soul, it's weird to sit down and think about taking your consciousness and putting it in another physical form. I mean, I guess you could kind of call it cloning because you can take a duplicate.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I'm wondering if like a clone is more like a different entity altogether, even though it has the same potential makeup. Like it's its own conscious being. You know, there's E and A and there's E and B.
Yeah.
But you're saying, because what you're saying is like you're telling me that when you die, that potentially like, you know, your spirit will go on to heaven, which like I like to, you know, I'm not super religious, but like I would love that.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all want to go to a better place.
I would love that.
Yeah.
You know,
like we like to all think that we're good people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, you know, there are really bad people who are out there being successful and now out there progressing things, progressing entities, progressing. So it's just like
they say, nice guys finish last. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, yeah, you try to be a good person, but then there's, you know, there's total corruption at the highest levels across all, you know, boards of evil people who make hand over fist money, you know. I don't know if that's the same, but yeah.
Oh, but okay, so speaking about that, what do you
I want to make sure we tie up some of these points because we just keep going here.
Yeah, I know.
You just keep
okay. Speaking about that point.
You're ready to go, dog.
In regards to what do you think about like when you say something's good or bad, do you think that's a real thing?
Oh, you're saying because I'm talking about how there's potentially, objectively evil people who make tons of money.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, but we're talking about collective thought.
Obviously, evil and good is a spectrum. I mean, Star Wars is a movie about it. You know, there's tons of films and plots about how evil and bad is a spectrum. But I would say that some of these people, you know, I mean, are they even bad anymore? You look at these, like, you look at Sam Bankman-Fried, you know, or I don't know if that's the guy's name.
Sigmund Freud.
No, not Sigmund and Freud, the magicians. No, Scott Bankman-Fried, I think. The guy who recently was having the issues with cryptocurrencies. He was the recent guy that got in trouble with a bunch of fraud, basically. What I'm saying is people that get in trouble for fraud, like he's a bad guy. He's a bad actor. But is it like, you know, you're talking about good and evil as a spectrum. Does fraud make you a bad person because you manipulated the systems and stole like money that isn't even real in the first place, you know? I mean, so like, yeah, it's not as simple as like he slapped a bunch of people in the face. He's a bad guy.
Yeah. That's what I believe too.
So I agree. It's a spectrum.
It is. I believe good and bad goes to what you believe in, what your personality is, where you're from, what your family believes in too. But there's no good or bad. There's just consequence. You can say that. No good or bad, just consequence. Yeah. Just because of like... I've been deleting this. Huh? I've been deleting this. I too. Is it good? It's amazing. Give me a rating out of... Out of 10? Yeah. A 9. A 9, really. You know, I like these. I feel like they're refreshing. An 8.9. Like drinks, you know. No one deserves a 9, really. No one deserves a 9. But this is amazing, just because there's not a lot of sugar in it. Yeah, you know, they say they put electrolytes and shit in these. Like, I find these to be really refreshing, not to like hype them up like that and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I've seen them say that. I don't know where it says. Because I don't like juice. I don't drink juice. If I'm drinking juice, you know, if you have cranberry juice, put like a shot of cranberry juice in with a cup of water, and you're still going to taste that cranberry juice. That's how much sugar is in cranberry juice. Yeah. No, so this reminds me of like... It's not bad. It kind of just tastes like a seltzer almost, you know?
with like a little grape in it. You know, they were saying juice is bad. They were saying that strawberries, like, if you squeeze the juice of a strawberry out, like it's an effective pesticide. Like the juice that's remaining when you squeeze it out of the strawberry, because of how poison some of the. I guess it's different than the sugar being bad. That's more of the pesticides being bad, but. You know,
can be true, cannot be true. We can look it up.
Hey.
I mean, I could see. I mean, there's definitely like an essence of strawberry. Maybe like this is a video game. Like, go collect essence of strawberries.
Go collect essence.
So we can have an essence of strawberry and like use as a pesticide along the yard. I don't know. Maybe. I
don't know. They were saying that the strawberries like skin. What were we talking about before when we were talking about the evil guys?
The mind, body, and soul.
Oh, the mind, body, and soul. Well, see, this is what you're. Yeah.
It's all tied. It all ties back to discipline.
Yeah.
You know, just like getting up in the morning and wanting to do things. There's a reason why you gave yourself this project and do. People aren't going to understand that because like they think, okay, well, it's not making me any money, so like, what do I do? But when you start out with anything, you're not going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're starting a business, if you're doing anything, you're not going to see profit for years. So it's more like you have to believe.
I was comparing myself to Shark Tank. The people were on Shark Tank giving the pitches of their company, and they're like, "Yeah, I've been working for 3 years, and I'm thinking about, wow, I've been working on my business, which is a podcast, for 3 years, and I don't have shit to show." But
see, yeah, that's really hard.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously all different and all relative. But I think I've honestly been doing this for mostly like a year and a half at this point. But yeah, I derailed you. You were saying something.
No, it's funny what you were talking about because so my family friend used to work for a staffing company. You know, the company that there's a company like you submit your resume and then they'll place you somewhere, like a job placement program.
Okay, yeah.
He worked there for like 20 years. Something happened, and the story, he wasn't working there anymore. And then he gathered a bunch of his friends and created one as well. But he had that experience to do that.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's like when you're now in the world of today, you could do anything you want to. You could like, for example, like go outside, use your phone to record, or call yourself a photographer and just take pictures in the backyard with your phone, which I hate. But you can do anything you want to, basically, with no prerequisites.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because that's how I started, too.
Well, you're saying, that guy, he got fired from his recruiting business, so he started his own recruiting business.
Yeah, he had experience, and that's why he saw profits right up. Maybe he had leads from before.
Well, you know what's interesting? You know? That guy got fired from recruiting business. You know, I like to think about the fact that I'm trying to create my own business so nobody can fire me. You know, I've been fired before. I don't like being fired.
I'm taking all these happy days. Okay, cool.
Right here, I put that one there for you. That's all you. No, I brought there's 3 more in there.
That's fine.
Yeah, I brought out a bunch of stuff. I wasn't sure, but we're both drinking the Happy Dads.
This is probably it. This is definitely crushable.
No, these are crushable. You know, every time I've bought these, like I've been like, they're good. You know, like the seltzers, these are pretty sweet. You know, I like these. I think I like to like these. You know, sometimes, but they're not even that good.
All right, so what were you saying before? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Like in terms of having being a part of an organization that gives you experience first before you start your own thing.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, obviously, I wasn't part of any organization that's doing this. You know, I would be a part of. I think that at this point, I have really good because I've also done all the production of this podcast as well. I could be like a good editor for somebody who's actually funny. You know, I know. But I wonder if those people are better than me at that. You know, the thing is, like, I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you need to now, though.
I'm the host.
You know,
I'm the producer. I'm the editor. Funny. Like,
there's one of my favorite producers ever in the world. I had the pleasure of meeting him once, but he was saying that he got accepted to Juilliard, and he went there. And he was like, they're trying to mold me. I'm an artist. Like, they're trying to mold me into this machine, this robot who follows a specific pattern on how to create something. So I mean, so people who go...
Very interesting.
Yeah, if you go school... I mean, I learned how to be an audio engineer in the studio.
Yeah.
But like, you could go... Like, let's say you go to Full Sail University in Florida. Then they'll teach you they'll give you the bells and whistles of what you know already, maybe a little bit more extensive.
But you think they mold you like a machine? You know,
can.
I've had that thought before. You know, I wanted to go to art school for a while, but then like my creative like spark was like more like, you know, or how to say that, but like it was more like music for me. It became less about like painting and art like that, and more of like, oh, I want to do music, and I'm like, well, why would I go to school for music? Like, you know, people go to school for music, but it's like, you know, Kurt Cobain didn't know any music. Jimi Hendrix doesn't know any sheet music. All the best musicians, you go down the line, don't know any sheet music at all. Like,
I learned this from working with musicians.
they did their own thing. Like, what's his face? Tom Morello. You know, some of the best, you know, Rage Against the Machine's guitarists.
Jimi Hendrix can't. Like some people say Hans Zimmer doesn't know how to write music. I don't believe it to be true, but who knows?
That's a famous. I've heard that name. He's a pianist, right?
He's a composer.
Okay.
He did like Batman, Inception.
Oh yeah.
But there's I mean, if you're going to like, I know a girl who went to an art school and she got in because on her guitar, her electric guitar, she played Giant Steps by Coltrane.
Not familiar with that song.
It's a jazz song.
Yeah,
but it's very, very meticulous. It's very, very detailed.
Yeah.
And she did on a electric guitar, and they're like, "This is wonderful." So you know how to play this. Okay, so let's study this. And then she's studying all this music that like she's like, I don't know if I like it too much, but I do have another band and I practice other things with them. You know, so it can mold you into being like, I don't know, maybe it's jazz, maybe you're a pianist and then you go and perform all over the place, but then you know, if you do that and perform other people's music, then you'll end up a few years down the line, we'll be working and see them on stage at the restaurant we're working with, and then they're a cover band that can't stand cover bands, so we're gonna go with that.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, does it take your creative like genius out of it? You know, they say with like music and stuff, like learning stuff, you know, they teach you rules. They teach you about scales and how you're supposed to play these notes with these notes and stuff like that.
See,
and they try to say that that's more of like, oh, well, these are tools for you to then go use. So I think maybe like that's what you know, that's the spin that sometimes they put on it.
Like, you may
and when
know
you
that
hear it
already.
like that, like it's like
it's not.
Oh, but like.
Like those things you could teach yourself.
But like, I fully agree that
this could be a whole conversation talking about, okay, do we need to have schools like this? Do we need to have schools to be a musician? Like, well, like you definitely have to learn from somebody.
I mean, the thing is, like, I think the best musicians don't need a school. I think the thing is are going to be schools because people do want to learn. People who aren't the best musicians are going to be wanting to like learn how to be a musician. They're going to listen to the best musicians and stuff like that. And they're going to be like, well, how do I do that? You know, the best musician figures it out on their own.
Now,
but everybody else is like, the imitators don't know how to do that. They don't know how to figure it out. So they're going to try to like go to a school. And then on the other side of it, there's going to be a school because somebody needs to make somebody's trying to make money off it.
There's a big demand. So someone needs to make money.
They're like, oh, you want to learn? I don't know how to do what Jimi Hendrix is doing, but I'll teach you how to play the scale for $100, you know?
So that being said, do you believe the same thing with audio engineers?
You know, audio engineering has got to be different. I'm not super familiar with audio engineering.
Well, like, for example, have you heard another podcast and thought, and like when you're first starting out, have you started another podcast and thought, well, it needs to sound just like this. Why does it sound so clear? Why when I do this, am I not getting the sound I want to? What's going on? Then you'll go online and look up, well, is it the equipment I'm using, or is it a certain way I set my vocal bus or anything like that? You know what I mean?
Well, there's definitely like a knowledge that you need to have about like certain things like computers and like mixers and software. Like I can't, you know, like Jimi Hendrix is like, yeah, you know, I play the guitar like this and it makes noise like that. Like I can't blindly look at my computer and be like, pull up Adobe Premiere Pro and edit, you know? I know. So, like, I feel like there's definitely knowledge that you have to have. That being said, audio engineering, isn't that more like about like what exactly is that?
So, it's about the science of sound, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how sound works really, and how could I implement that on my own, kind of in a way. But meanwhile, see, there's a big misconception of what a producer is. There's producers and there's audio engineering.
Mm-hmm.
But producers, if you're a producer, you're working with musicians like in order to get something down on paper. You know what I mean? Like most of the time the producer gets paid the most because he knows what he wants. He's just trying to like place a drummer here
he's not the creative guy. He's like the manager in a sense is what you're saying, kind of, right? He's trying to like put the places like
he can be a creative guy though.
Like the producing of a podcast is like me calling the guests up to be like, oh, like come on this day and stuff right?
Yeah, exactly.
And making sure everybody's in place for the podcast. I'm not making the podcast, but
exactly. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about, let's say a band as big as Blink-182, Tom DeLonge had a set approach to what he wanted to do, and he found the producer to do it. So it's kind of like
Rick Rubin's a producer, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of like the head of the band works with the producer, and then they get something down in terms of, acoustics is more engineering, but still like
that's right. The engineering is like you're mixing, you're doing a lot of mix work,
well, like mixing engineer, then there's a mastering engineer, but that's
which is so there's a couple people on that. I believe there's got to be a couple people on that.
It's almost like the music you hear on the radio is touched by like 10 mixing engineers, and like it's not original, so I don't listen to that. That's why I say it's really, they say that listening to popular music is kind of bad for you, because like you're gonna think, okay, well I need a sound just like this, and you can do that. You can take your samples and just like place them where they want to, but that's not original at all. I tend to make things harder for myself.
It's a good point. You're trying to like listen to these guys play. You're trying to listen to Metallica, and you're like, why does my guitar sound like that?
Exactly. And also at the same time,
it's like, well, his guitars run through 8 computers and 6 guys who went to school for audio engineering.
Plus a fucking pedal board with like 12 pedals.
Well, I mean, the most expensive Marshall amp you can buy.
They had the producer saying, turn down your fucking distortion. He's like, okay. He turns it back up.
Well, that is fun. That's the fun end of.
But like I'm looking around your garage, and I'm thinking like, if I had something like this, what I would do when I first got started was to probably, I'm definitely set everything up the way it's supposed to be set up, and like as an engineer that I'm teaching myself, I would teach myself how to do that, maybe through YouTube videos or whatever, and then I would slowly try to do weird things to make it my own. Because nothing good was done, or nothing prolific was done until like you go against the norm.
Interesting.
So like what's popular now, people don't know what they like. Like what's popular now, you could have that one person saying, all right, well, you'll like it tomorrow, and they'll find a way to like it tomorrow. And it's almost like like in I don't know why I can't think of that band. But there are a lot of bands that do this, that when they record, definitely Nirvana, but like even saying that Kurt Cobain, when he was recording a song, but he was just laying on the floor, just barely a whisper underneath the bridge, something in the way.
Oh, okay.
So that's how he was able to get like that sound. But he could do the same thing in a vocal booth, but still, you don't know it's going to end up like that. So like you need to be comfortable in your own way, and that's what makes you an artist: comfortability in your own way.
Interesting. And so you got to set up the space, and then once the space is set up, it gives you the ability to like, or I guess, if you were to use a canvas, like you got to set the canvas up before you can paint a picture.
Exactly. And a lot of that could go back to what we were talking about before, mind, body, and soul. You need to know who you are as a person in order for you to get...
You got to set up your own canvas.
You do.
You got to set up your own person.
You need to have your own mind, body, and soul.
The right place to make the right art.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Because think about it.
But what does that mean, though? Because the thing with that could be a couple things, because it's like, what you said?
That's the $1 million question. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Because being in the right state to be creative could be like you said, going to the gym, being disciplined, taking care of your body. But then it's like these guys, Stephen King, were drunks and incredibly successful. Tool talks about how like, they have that song where they're like, if you don't like drugs and alcohol, go home and burn all your records. Because everybody, the Doors were high on drugs when they created their music. He goes
obsessed with Manson too. But that's the thing, though. You need to know.
So do you want to? Yeah.
Like you really need to know yourself in order in order for you to be comfortable with the stuff you're putting out. Because it takes years to do that. Where you're like, I don't know how you are, but with me, if I hear something, I'll write a 30-minute long form ambient piece, and if something does not sound good at 15 minutes and 2 seconds, I will not like it, and I want to turn it off and say fuck that. But
I'm a little bit different than that. There are
Really?
parts of podcasts that I don't like, but then I put the whole thing out.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I also don't know what other
Took me 2 years
people.
to be like that.
I also don't know what other people will like. Well, see, that's the difference between music and a podcast, because I have a shot every week to try to make some joke, but music is like that's 2 minutes and you want it to be, I've made music before, and I've painted before, and I find that you go crazy. You repaint this corner.
It's never finished.
You redo this section.
It's never finished.
You keep listening to it, and it's just not right.
Yeah. So the reason why I brought up before in terms of discipline, in terms of like us needing to do something, like wanting to do something, there's a constant battle in myself as an artist to be a perfectionist. And you can't be a perfectionist as an artist. That's why I don't understand how people have egos as an artist, because like you're constantly humbled. You're gonna record something for eight hours and be like, I can't stand it. I hate it. And then you want to go back and do the same thing all over again. So your work is never done. Mm-hmm. It's really like you could make 10 mixes of a single song, but you have to put it out. You got to throw it out. It's like that with podcasts too. So you're special if you.
But I'm saying it's easier for me to be like. I don't feel some type of way about episode 54. It's just episode 54.
No.
It's not like
do you
super.
Do you listen to your stuff every week?
I do a lot of listening to old stuff, not like on purpose, mostly out of because I'm editing clips, so I'm going back through. Well, obviously I listen to it, and then I put it out.
Yeah.
And when I listen to it, sometimes there's things that I don't like that I say, but like for the most part, I don't cut anything out unless it's like something inappropriate that somebody else said.
Yeah.
When I do my solo episodes, most of the time it's like I'm not like what I'm saying is I'm not cutting out bad jokes.
Yeah.
I know podcasts that do that. I know Call or Daddy records 3 hours and then they
every
put
podcast
out.
does that usually. Usually it's always like a 5-hour thing cut down to 3 hours.
You think so?
Yeah.
A lot of the people I listen to don't do that.
Really? Wow.
Well, you know what? Flagrant 2 definitely cuts bits out.
Yeah.
They definitely edit around, but like,
especially something
Chris D'Elia is somebody who's like, I don't cut.
He doesn't.
What you see is what you get.
He's my favorite.
We're raw,
But it's and you know how hard it is to do that, to like record yourself for maybe it's why he just deals with an hour. But I mean, like, if you're recording yourself for an hour talking about nothing. It's like, you have like something, but and you have your own jokes and stuff with that.
I know.
How long it takes to be
I know. I mean, yesterday I'm sitting here. I got like 5-10 minutes in and I'm like, oh man, what do I talk about? You write notes before the podcast, but then you don't even feel that. You don't even.
You don't.
Like I'm like writing notes down about like Jersey Shore is closed for the beach. And it's like, I don't even care.
And you know what? And talking about all of this, this is like a form of therapy for you. At the same time, if you didn't have the podcast and you just have that, you're writing notes. So like, since you have the podcast and you're doing this, it's like every week you can listen back and you could think, oh, I didn't like what I said there. But that's how you felt in the moment. You got to respect yourself.
Yeah.
You're different tomorrow or you're different the next day.
Well, and even if which is, I mean, like what you see is what you get, Chris D'Elia through, it's going out.
It's going out.
I'm not really cutting bits.
You can't be fake.
I'm just like throwing a podcast out. I'll throw another one out next week. I just keep throwing them out. Uh-huh. That's the beauty of it compared to being like a perfectionist about a painting, where it's like you worked on that painting. And that's the thing. Like you worked on that painting for like a week, to a month to years. That song, like you said, 8 hours, how long you've been recording, it might have taken you 8 hours to record it in the studio, but it took you another, I sit down, barely took 10 minutes to prepare. You know, I sit down
No. You
with
gotta give yourself more
nothing,
credit
and I'm
than
like,
that.
boom, like
That's a good thing,
We're gonna
though.
go. We're gonna go with it. I mean, yeah. I'm just saying the parody of it all, because like I've done those other forms of art. You know, I'm not really gonna say this is a form of art. You know, because but like in art, you're selling yourself. You're selling your music, or you're selling your painting, or you're selling your act. You know, whatever it is. Me, I'm just selling some.
That's
yeah.
That's why the term starving artist will always be a thing, because when artistic integrity meets corporate interests, bad things are gonna happen.
Yeah, well, the problem is you need to make money in this world.
Yeah, you need to make
The problem
money.
is you need to make money in this world. Yeah. I mean, it's a very fucking good point. There's no way, like, there's any, like,
Like, that's why a lot of people say, you know, like when I was
one of the best points that's ever been made on this podcast.
like there's a time that I was like, because after I was done with college, I used to intern at this. I'm not gonna say the name of them because I don't like them too much.
No.
But like I used to intern at this event company, and we hired like Diplo and like different, like it's like a big event company.
Yeah.
And you know, I didn't really know who I was, but I thought I wanted to be an agent. Then I moved to California, and I was just like, I was finding myself a lot, and I feel like I had something to say. It's a calling, really. Yeah, you know, like it's like anyone could say, "Hey, I want to start a podcast. I want to start," but still, like it's editing is no joke.
Yeah.
Like you sit there and talk about it, you could say like you're sitting in that chair for 10 minutes, and then you say, "Okay, just let it run." But afterwards, that's a lot of time you're putting into it, and at the same time, in that time, you're not getting paid for that time. Which means you have to love what you do.
I could potentially, you know, I'm setting myself for down the line to potentially get paid for, you know, if I don't do the work, how am I going to get paid for it? So it's like, if I do the work, then eventually somewhere down the line, for one reason or another, I might get paid for it.
Let that be a lesson.
You know, but you're right.
People don't care about.
You're right.
People don't care about what you're doing. They care about what you did. So after you have that whole like waves of podcasts, people know who you are, and then that leads me to this question: will you consider yourself a comedian coming up?
You know, I don't do any stand up. I don't do any stand up. I don't write jokes. You know, this is like I would say that this might be like a comedy podcast, because it's a podcast that mostly is just about being silly.
Yeah. You
know, I poke jokes at like life and existence and stuff like that, the world that we live in. So, but like I wouldn't see myself as like a comedian, because a comedian is a guy that goes on stage and does stand up, which is something that I don't do. I do a comedy podcast potentially, but I'm not exactly, I don't know. Now there may be a point down the line where that might be different. Changes. But as of now, that's definitely different than what I do. You know, there's overlap. There's comedians that obviously do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I definitely have like jokes. There's definitely things that I use as jokes.
We're gonna go to, and this is why originality is so important. Like there are certain people in the restaurant we work at, not even certain people, everybody. Whenever you walk into a room, they all speak like you. They all talk like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you noticed that? It's happening a lot recently. And it's always a big thing. It's always a big production where everybody hears it.
You know, I don't like to talk about this, but like I definitely have a weird energy effect over things. Like
the weird is good though.
Well, it's like I do command energy. Like I noticed like 100%. I've noticed that people have even commented on it, and it's like something that I don't like to admit or like pay attention to, but that is exactly.
You probably didn't even notice it. That's who you are.
No, you try to like pretend that it doesn't exist. You know, it's like that type of thing where like I walk into a room and I don't like when everybody's like, "Oh, Alec," you know, I like to.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
But like, you know, then I eventually get comfortable in that room. I start being silly, and then
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There's 10 of us being like, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing?" You know, in the freaking service bar, being like, "Yeah, no, exactly."
Like that's in regards to inspiration.
It's interesting. That is interesting.
Isn't it interesting what inspires people? Like really. I mean, like you may like later on down the road, you may put out something and think, I don't know how it's gonna be, and then like the most minuscule thing in that one project, people are like, I love that so much, and then you're just like, that's so weird. I don't know, because I'm very shy.
Well,
I'm incredibly shy.
Well, that's why I put out the whole. That's why I don't cut things.
Yeah.
Because what do they like about it?
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I don't know what they might like about it. You know, like you said, they might like the weirdest thing that I didn't even think that was the best thing. They did though.
Yeah.
I think what's important with podcasting is like, and why I like it is it's genuine. You know, it's not like a TV show that's heavily produced and shit like that. It's just a genuine conversation. So for me, it's like, I enjoy listening. I don't know. For some reason, I enjoy listening to that. So that's, you know, and that's what inspires me is other podcasts. I like listening to them. So I'm like, I could do that, you know?
You get to know who they are, you know?
Yeah, you get to hang out with them. Exactly.
You have to separate the real from the fake too. Because there's a lot of fake things that get released out there. Like, for example, like, you know, like if we're listening to a Brad Pitt, or watching Brad Pitt's movies throughout the years, we never heard him on an 1.5 hour long podcast. He was on Marin for like 45 minutes, but it was him and someone else. So but it's like listening to who he is as a person. Not even like an ABC thing, just like a podcast that someone like this that sits down and puts out with him. Like he's never really done that. Yeah. So we don't know who he is.
Well, it's a cool media form for sure. You know, listening to people. Yeah. We don't know. Yeah, he's been on Marin, Brad Pitt specifically.
After Once Upon a Time.
It is really cool when people, though, that aren't normally on podcasts, like, are on podcasts. I actually remember listening to Robert Downey Jr., though, and I was like, oh, man, this guy actually sucks.
Well, he did. He was a piece of shit at one point.
Like that. Like, he was on Rogan. And like for some reason, obviously Rogan tries to like talk to you how you want to be talked to. Yeah. But like the way that Robert Downey Jr. and him were talking, I was just like, I'm not interested in this.
Well, it's also. I mean, that could also be. See, actors are kind of weird because like you are your own personality.
I don't know a lot about actors.
I don't.
See, but that's the opposite end of the spectrum than a podcast, because a podcast is like. This is what it is, you know. I sit down and I talk about myself to the camera, you know. Whereas
it's like unrelentless.
They went to school for music theory. They have all the rules and all the stuff. Everything is perfectly outlined for them to do.
It's an occupation that's someone's telling you how to be, how to change. Because like you know who you are. Like this is why I don't consider Jim Carrey crazy, because. like someone who's incredibly method since the 80s, where every single part you have, you're a different person. You are not Jim. Like you are somebody else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like could you imagine doing that for 2 years during a production of the movie, then having to go out and market yourself? Like with Heath Ledger, if Heath Ledger was still with us, you think after Dark Knight he would be able to go out and be funny and be like, yeah, the movie was amazing. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, you know? Well, that's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, do you get so wrapped up in the identities? Who was that first person that you just mentioned? Who was before Heath Ledger? I just started thinking about The Dark Knight all of a sudden.
I completely forgot, to be honest with you.
That other actor.
But I mean,
who was that?
Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey.
What? Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's. Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff. I don't think he's super crazy. I mean, yeah, that's interesting.
Because I mean,
he's got to play those characters like that.
Yeah, like the Grinch. Like he was in a different. I mean, there's a documentary.
He's got to be a big he was Dumb and Dumber. He's got to play all kinds of stupid ass.
He's method. He's always on character. So even when the cameras are done rolling, most.
You're saying that's how
that's how he becomes that person. It's almost like Lincoln, the movie Lincoln.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
I
wasn't sure if you were going to say that. I know he's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah. Where he's like, you'll talk to him after the third day, and it's like he will not answer to Daniel. You call him if you ask for Daniel, he will not answer to Daniel.
That shit's crazy.
That's crazy.
That shit's crazy. People that are like method actors like that, like Heath Ledger, R.I.P. And I want, yeah.
No,
Well, things like that, because they're talking about, I don't know all the facts, but they were saying like, the persona of Joker, if you try to adapt that, obviously it's going to lead you down a dark path of drugs and.
Well, it can.
Yeah.
I feel like most people go down that path because like they don't know how to. Because think about it, like there are men and there are apes. Like, if we're out in public, like what's stopping us from acting like apes? Where we come from, Neanderthals. So it's just like what how do you break through that wall of humanity where you go past humanity and you become something else and then be able to go back from that? And which is why as an actor I could never understand it, but I find it so fascinating how you could go and be a different person and come back into this reality.
It's got to be mentally taxing. Yeah, you think about Jim Carrey was also who was he, the Riddler?
Riddler, yeah,
or the Riddle, or the Riddler. Yeah, that's his name.
He's in a lot of different Batman stuff.
I can't imagine, if you walked around acting like a villain for a month.
No, think about all your friends. You think your friends would support you and like be around you if you're acting like fucking like.
I think if you were the role of the Riddler, though, I mean, you even want to be around your friends? You know, is what I'm saying. Like,
which is why Jim Carrey said nothing is real. Like we have our personalities, we have everything, but that's from our parents. You don't really know who you are until you move away. You take out that safety net and think, okay, well, if I don't pay this, I'm going to be homeless, no matter how successful I am.
I've seen him say stuff like nothing is real, and some of those other stuff, like where the media interviews him, and he just starts saying
there's just crazy
a lot
things.
Of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think half of it is jokes, but still at the same time, it's like you just gotta think about perception. Perception is everything.
Yeah, I don't know
like the way
all
he
of it.
perceives life for over 30 years is just not like if he wasn't acting like a different person, he wouldn't know who he was. Like which is why they say De Niro is the worst person to have on your show because he doesn't talk.
I've heard people talk about this. I've heard people talk about how these really prolific actors are boring people because they're always trying to
they're being somebody else.
They don't have their own personality.
They know who they are. Oh man.
No, I've heard that.
Jessica Kirson.
Yes.
You remember her?
Yes, I know who she is.
I had a talk with her after her show, and she was saying that there's a movie called The Comedian.
I know. We got to do. Are they going to do more of those? We think.
Maybe in the summer.
Do we have any idea?
I don't know how it.
When was the last time we did that? I mean,
I think we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I was there the last time, and our fearless leader. I'm not going to say his name, but they
were in the tent, and we're not going to have the tent this summer.
Yeah, then we can't do it. That's the thing. We are a family restaurant first.
Damn, because that was really hype. I was really hoping that we would continue to do that, make that a more consistent thing, and then eventually we're seeing all kinds of comedians.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think
Jessica Kirsten's a big name.
She is a big name. She's from around here too.
Is she really?
Yeah. I forgot what she said, but she's.
There's a lot of famous people from New Jersey. You ever
There's
think
a lot
that?
of famous people.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, Glenn Ridge.
Okay.
Of course, all the mafia guys. But
of course, all the mafia guys.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah,
he was born in Jersey. Yeah.
Chris D'Elia.
Shaq. There are a lot of people from the tri-state, Jersey and New York.
Yeah.
Because I think it's an attitude here. It's an attitude I can't find anywhere else. It's like, I don't even know how to put this.
Well, can I ask you this?
Yeah.
What's going on in Arkansas?
In Arkansas?
What's going on in Arkansas? You don't have a goddamn clue. And can I ask you, is there anything going on in Arkansas? Is there anything? Are there even people in Arkansas? Because I'm convinced everybody's either from like New Jersey or freaking California or something. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Because it's like every time you turn around, it's like, well, what do we know? Everybody? What is everybody from New Jersey? Are they making up the rest of the world?
I would move to a remote place.
Crazy shit.
I didn't move to a remote place in a second.
Yeah.
Not me. So I used to date this girl from Rapid City, North Dakota. Not gonna say her name. But I used to go there. I used to go there. You can't walk outside your house without wearing at least 3 layers because it's like negative 70 degrees.
Oklahoma?
No. North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying, yo. There ain't what is going
There's not
on
anything
in
going
North
on over there.
Dakota.
As soon as my plane landed, no cell phone service. I'm like, what if I have to call an Uber? Well, we have a taxi number right here, sir.
Yeah, isn't The Shining in like North Dakota or something like
I
that?
have no idea, but I'll tell you
It's
what.
in like
though.
one of those desolate areas.
I'll tell you what, though. I write a lot. I write. I had a marble notebook. I sat down. I was there for like maybe 3 days. I think my first trip, I was there for 3 days. I did not stop writing the
Really?
entire time. You'd be surprised how much distraction is here. It goes to like. Do you feel distracted whenever? I hate to keep bringing it back to you, but do you feel distracted whenever you're doing your thing or you have your mindset on something and then you hear someone else do their thing, like you hear their work?
I think we get distracted. I think there's a lot of stimulants in our area. I think a lot of that comes from our phones, though, and it's not like people in North Dakota don't have phones, you know.
Yeah, they're really. I mean, she didn't have a TV.
I've
She
definitely
didn't have a television. She went outside every day to go hiking.
I've definitely been in like places of Pennsylvania where there's like nobody, and like upstate New York where there's like nobody. And you're right, it does feel like slower, like there's less distractions and stuff.
Yeah. That's the power of
You're saying like,
influence.
what do you mean? Like when I see other people's workflow?
Well,
or like,
I'm trying to think of, because I know whenever I'm in the middle of writing something, it can be in the middle of a project. It's not just one song. It can be an album. It cannot be. But still, I hear it all the time. Like I'll go jogging and hear it in the wind. I'll talk to somebody and hear it in the cadence of their voice. And so whenever I work at a restaurant that has constant music playing, it always just hinders what I'm trying to do. Or if I hear somebody else's work, it always hinders what I do. Because still, I mean, it's hard, it's weird meeting people in my field. Because I know a lot of people in my field I consider my best friends, but still, I don't see or talk to them for months at a time because we're always working on something. So it's always like, hey, I'm going to finish this. I'll talk to you when I'm done with this. And then after we're done, we take like a little like lull period because really we are the worst people to be around whenever we're dealing with some kind of art.
there's certain comedians and like people that say that they won't listen to anybody else's stuff. Because
that makes sense.
I've heard that.
That does make sense. Because really, like you could listen to someone and they could do something constantly and that'd be stuck in your head subconsciously. And then you'll be in the middle of a bit and you'll say it.
I've noticed that happens a lot. I mean, you call me on this a lot because I'll make like remarks and you're like, what is that from? And I'm like, is that from something? I don't know. I thought I made it up. No, I mean, like I remember there were a couple things where you were like, no, that's from something. I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I know. And you're just, you subconsciously are listening to other people's jokes and using them as your jokes. No, I notice it. I notice there's a ton of people that I take influence from and like use certain things. And then I'm like actively trying to not use those things. And then it's like, well, where is any genuine coming from? Because I was like, I wanted to make that joke, but then I decided, I can't make that joke because that's a piece of somebody else's joke where they like use that type of, but
yeah. I can understand that. It's like you're not a regular person when you start being a creator, and which is why I can never it's so tough. Like living with, I guess you could say, normal people. People who don't like have something in their mind that's like digging and driving them crazy.
I think it's easy for me because like not a lot of people are trying to become podcasters, and anybody like who's like trying to become a podcaster, it usually doesn't last that long. I don't want to.
It's a lot of work.
I don't want to say that, but like
it's a lot of work.
Anybody who does like a podcast, I feel like they do like maybe a couple episodes, and then it's like we don't hear from it anymore.
See, that's the thing too. Like, you need to be essentially starting your own thing, conglomerate business, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But still, like
100%.
Anything you start with leads to everything else. But it's all about consistency. Like, people want to see the consistency in what you're doing.
Well, you got to put out content at the end of the day.
Yeah, you do.
Like Gary Vee says, content is king, baby.
You can't constantly say, "Hey guys, special things are coming this month." Hey guys, special things coming next year.
I
can't wait. This is my year. It's my summer.
I've never believed in that. And you know what? But I'm more of a creator than a marketer. There's something you certainly like. There's certainly something to that, a little bit of like hyping your content up, being like, new podcast is going to drop tomorrow, like getting people on board for it.
Yeah.
I'm not as like about that, but I'm more like let my work speak for itself.
Yeah.
I
am too. Which is why I'm a horrible marketer.
Yeah. No, I'm not. No, exactly. Like, I'm not a marketer. Like, I'm a creator. Like, I like to create like a piece, whatever it is.
Yeah.
My business savvy, my marketing sense isn't as much as like I know how to create a product.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It can be that, but your mind's in creating. But like you could do a shift.
You think it could be then? I think that's who I am as a person. I think that's a different mindset.
Yeah.
That a different person has.
I feel the same.
Who's like a marketer, and that's why you see that person being like,
you see them coming up.
Podcast in 10 weeks, podcast in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But like then they never put one out.
Well, nothing gets
the
done.
The creator puts it out, but then the marketer's marketing some product that they don't even have. So
that was like there's a producer that I
what do I know?
There's a producer that I've been following for years, and he won some gigantic award like 6 years ago, and they're like, hey, do you want to say anything in the magazine? He took his entire marketing team and put them on the magazine and said, they're the ones that did it. I didn't do anything. Because really, it's like, this is the beauty of anything artistic. You're never going to hear, there's always someone better and someone worse. You're never going to hear the things that are absolutely elite, because those people, they can't spend thousands of dollars on marketing. I
say that sometimes too. I say that I'm not the funniest. I just want to like work harder.
Yeah.
Kobe,
yeah.
That's actually a Mamba mentality thing. Kobe always said that. He said, I wasn't always the best at basketball and shit like that. Like, you can be the best at basketball, but you have to work hard.
Yeah, but the 1,000-hour rule is a real thing.
You gotta do it.
Have you heard about that? A lot of people don't know about that.
Is it 10,000 hours or is it 1,000
something like that?
Yeah.
I think it's like 10,000 hours.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. But it's a number that you're never going to reach. But the whole point is that if you're being this,
1,000 hours you can reach.
Well, but still, like, let's say if it's 1,000 hours you can reach, 10,000 hours you may reach that in 30 years. Doesn't matter what. But still, it's a number that very few reach. But still. Only experience.
It's 10, yeah.
It's 10,000 hours?
Because 1,000...
Yeah, that's too much. I mean, it's too
1,000's doable.
That's too little. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's like a
10,000 is a lot.
10,000 is a lot, but still, like, you're not going to put in 10,000 hours if your ability to create, or your ability to do anything, your just ability is being put in different lanes. Like, you need to have one lane, then have somebody else do the other lane, have somebody else do the other lane.
Yeah.
In order to inspire those people
you'll never
to do that, you need to inspire them to a point where they're following you, where they may have their own dream, but they're following you to a point where it's like, okay, we're going to do this no matter what. This is the point of no return. It's all about you. I'm handling your marketing. She's handling your financials.
And you create.
So it's like, you create.
You create. I know. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people sign deals. Because I mean, I signed a distribution deal when I was 21.
It's like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. It's like all I want to do is create. That's all I want to do. But you can do both. You can learn how to do both. If you teach yourself how to do shit like this, you do anything.
I've been trying to like get better at marketing.
It's a different mindset.
I run 2-3 social media pages.
Yeah.
And try to market each and every day. Am I as good at that as the? Yeah. It is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's like, because people talk about like, work a 9 to 5, and then they're like, oh no, I want to work for myself. You're working 24/7 then,
Exactly. You can't put in 100 hours a week if you're trying to build a family either.
There was a point where I was like, you know what? You're right. I think I should just work a 9 to 5 because you get to go home
paycheck.
From the 9 to 5.
At 5 o'clock, you're going home.
You get to leave. You get to leave the 9 to 5.
Easy. Because you're working a 9 to 5, you're coming home with your white picket fence, having a dog and wife. Hey, how you doing? I'm good too. How you doing, honey? You want to go out to dinner? I don't know what. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. Like, I was like, that's easy. Maybe I should just like live an easy life. Like, why do I got to live a hard life?
I don't know.
But the thing is, it's unfulfilling.
It is unfulfilling.
That's why we don't want it. Because it may be easy, and you think you might want the easy, but I think
like
that at the end of the day, ultimately,
there's nothing easy about life.
It's unfulfilling.
Yeah, but like you have to follow your dream, man. You really do. You can't just talk. If you want to do something, you go out there and do it.
Yeah,
and like no one's gonna believe in you, but you believe in yourself, you'll do it.
Well, I wonder this. I wonder if, because I wonder if music. I think is what I'm more passionate about than this. Exactly. I think that this is is that shitty to say? Like, I think I know how to do this and I can do this. But I think like if I could pick, like at the end of the day, if I could pick what my job would be, like out of anything, it would be being a guitarist. It wouldn't be being a podcaster.
Interesting.
So like, cause that was the reason why originally I didn't go to art school. Cause I didn't want to pick art if I knew my passion was in music.
Yeah.
But I've just find that music is so hard. And I wonder if just because my passion is in music, you talk about you're never going to be the best, like, the funniest or whatever. Well, you certainly aren't going to be like,
you're not going to be the best.
Music is a steep hill, being the best guitarist is a steep hill to climb.
But you can't think of, like, if you were to write music, what kind of music would you write? Like, would you write lyricless music? Or would you would you just lead with the guitar?
I've written a lot of, most of the stuff that I've written, like I've put in like probably 25-ish songs together. But like, what I mean by that is like I've written 25 guitar parts.
Okay.
With GarageBand, you could essentially set up a drum track and you could change the drum track to do different things. And I actually like have been playing drums over the last 3, 4 years, 5 years.
So you're trying to be a complete.
Well, the thing is like I've tried to be in bands, but that also hasn't panned out. And the way that I'm a complete podcast, see, that's what we're saying. This is fucking easier. I can be a complete podcaster.
All you need is a mic.
Being a complete band is fucking hard. And like, that's like, I wrote a lot of guitar parts and then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could learn the drums, and I have 2 drum sets. I have an electronic drum set, which would be easy as shit to record off of.
Yeah. Eventually, you're probably going to have to record off that, but still.
And I have an acoustic drum set because electric drum sets aren't fun.
Like still, it depends on what kind of sound you're trying to get, and this is where the engineering part comes in too. Like if you understand, because you can do electric, but still like there's a fake sound to it all the time, and still like I love listening to vinyl. I should have been born in the '80s. I love like that kind of like rawness of a recording. Like even grain, like the grainness of a vinyl. You can take something.
No, I mean you're 100% right. Yeah. I mean I'm not going to argue that. I mean,
but I mean like if you want to, it depends on how you want to do it. Like still, if you want the guitar to lead, you can get just like 3 little mics and put it on the guitar.
Yeah,
and then just play. So you're not leaving the guitar, so you don't have to have the best talent. You can just do whatever, but still you're doing it all yourself, and that's what producing is.
Yeah.
So if you want to go down that road, you can, but it takes time.
Yeah. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, and that's why we make a podcast.
Yeah.
But
you're just starting. You don't know.
But like, I did that for years. Like before I tried to do like a podcast. Record music, and I even recorded with a couple different people and tried to do things with a couple different people. But like, again, I'm also not the best guitarist, but like, and then I try to learn, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think that one day eventually I'll record something, but it's also cool to just have as like a fun hobby.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's so, man, it's so hard because when I first got started, because I'm also a writer too, but that can be easy too. But when I first got started, it's the older people that I learned from, like in their 50s, 60s. Most of them would say, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
Because they just bought this entire big mixing board, like something like 10 times the size of that, and they're just like, this cost me $70,000.
Yeah.
You want a car, or do you want to buy a $70,000 mixer? That's not even a big one. If you want to do like A-list talent, you're buying one that's $250,000, and that's a house. So if you do that, how is your wife or girlfriend going to think? What are you going to do? Yeah, so it's like And that goes into a lot of things. I've been in a lot of relationships, and still I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm never going to be involved with anybody unless they're a creator as well, or because they understand just the dramacy and the emotional anarchy that goes on.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
your own head.
my girl's a good girl, you know, but
She is.
sometimes I think that I would be more productive
She understands
if I wasn't in a relationship. You know, but hey, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
See, it's a
Hopefully
tough
she doesn't
thing
listen to this
because
song.
I mean it's tough, especially like being our age, like dating people who want to go out and like have fun. Like you're just like no, it's you find so much comfort in doing what you being yourself. You find so much comfort in being yourself, but still like she understands that, which is very rare because I ruined my first relationship.
Sometimes we talked about this before.
We did.
Sometimes. Yeah, I won't speak on that anymore. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I do want to ask you. So you do like, but like, so with music, what is like? Do you play an instrument?
Yeah, I play piano.
Oh, okay,
not
yeah.
too well. Like I was asked to play at this There's a place called the Mark in the Central Valley of California. They asked me to play piano once. I'm like, no, I'm not playing for a jazz band, a jazz club.
Mostly just for fun, then.
Yeah, for fun, for myself. Yes, I understand chord. I understand music. I understand chord progressions and stuff. But still, in terms of speed, like
I played a little bit of piano. Yeah.
And that's really what jazz is. So it's not exactly. But at the same time, like I write some music that's like, man, I wrote something that was in 2 parts, and both parts in total was 45 minutes. And the second it's both ambient pieces, but how I write it is I have a certain instrument.
I like ambient pieces.
That.
I do.
Yeah. But still, it's tough because if you're writing lyricless music, you need to have an instrument or something else that takes the place of the voice. You know, it has to go somewhere.
What's the name of the? You ever heard of Bell Witch? Man, what is the name of the album? I don't know if that's what it's called actually. There's like a. I'd probably be able to pull it up really quick here. Actually, there is a album that's like an hour long. Well, there's a couple actually. This is less ambient, but I don't know if you've heard of like it is Bell Witch.
Is that the album? Or was that the?
What's the name of the artist?
Interesting.
Mirror Reaper. It's like an hour 23. I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to get flagged.
Yeah.
But it's like ambient metal music. There's actually like a lot of like
we've talked about this
kind of metal.
Yeah.
Ambient music that I like listen to. Like some of it is like
Dream
like
Theater.
sleep. Well, yeah. I mean, Dream Theater is like progressive metal.
Yeah, but like the newer. We were talking about In the Buried in Me before, right?
What's up?
That we were talking about In the Buried in Me.
Yeah, Between the Buried and Me.
Between the Buried and Me.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
And
I want to see them soon.
This is so funny because this is what this is why music is so.
I'm fired up. I'm gonna go see them like real soon.
What's it called?
They're performing the Parallax 2
Where?
Incompletion
Where? In Jersey?
in the Irving Plaza in New York, June like 20 something.
Oh, it's so close. I may go to that.
It's pretty. Yeah. I don't know. There were still tickets available last time I checked. And it's like general floor admission that wasn't more than $100. It was like $40 tickets that I bought for general floor admission.
Yeah.
In the front.
That's
but
cheap.
but they're playing. You like them, right?
I love them. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got them back into me. You got them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're playing the Parallax 2, which isn't the most recent album release. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know
Which
what you're
one?
talking about.
The one with the like the space. Yeah, this one. They're playing this album in its entirety.
That's gonna be amazing
At the concert, which is like I've seen a lot of bands like say they're gonna do that, but I've never gone to see that.
Yeah.
So I'm really
It's a hard
hyped to
thing
go
to
see
do.
that. No, it's got to be so fucking impossible to do, yo. These guys to do it,
but still, like in today to now, I don't think people could because like that's
this
a whole
album
album.
came out in 2012 too.
They just say no, it's
You
good
got
too.
motherfuckers that are relearning parts for the.
Well, it's a vibe. I feel like that's why I love rock music. Rock music will never not be the forefront of what I love. But like you could have an entire album be all in the same key and still have certain instruments play certain things in between songs. It'll
This is
sound
an
like
hour
one complete
12.
song.
Yeah.
Because nothing is too drastic. That's a full
Definitely
album.
one of my favorite albums. One of the albums that got me into these guys 100%.
Like so. Oh, that's interesting. That's amazing. But like I'll always love rock music because like you'll have that like and you have each player being their own artist in their own way.
Yeah, that's why some of that stuff like progressive metal specifically. I mean, these guys you think about, and Dream Theater is also a great example of this. Utilize the keyboards and stuff like that.
And everything sticks out.
And then they have like
Everything
a couple
sounds so
keyboard players. They have a drummer. They have a guitarist. They have two guitarists, a bassist. And it's like, oh my God, the landscape, the picture you're painting is just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that's what gets me. That's why I love music, because nothing can compare to some of those songs. Like, some of those songs, the way they make you feel, it's just unmatchable. Like, that shit is amazing.
That's why
I could cry right now.
That's why I'm obsessed with ambient music. I go by two different aliases. One is Widow, and the other one is Cicada. And Cicada is the ambient one, because eventually my goal is to make music for films. Like
really?
So when I was in LA, I tried to do that, but the movie business is a sit and wait business. But still, it's just like I'm trying to like have some kind of picture with no words, and then I put my own word to it, which is very hard to do. But still, at the same time, like if you just have the music, that's fine. But still, I've been doing that on my own. I'm a photographer with myself. I'm a photographer. I'm not anything.
Yeah,
crazy.
you got to like make your own scene up and then write a song to it.
Exactly.
Almost.
Exactly.
Which is cool though, but that's kind of what music is to any writer though. I mean, an ambient piece is obviously like way longer, but like to anybody who's writing music, it's like you're making up a story or a scene and you're writing a soundtrack to it.
The thing is, lyricless music can be a bit harder, but it's so much better because you could be jogging and listening to it, and you'll have a completely different mindset. You'll have a completely different thought about what goes on in your head versus driving. Or versus being with your friends. Yeah. Like it's all telling you a different story every time. And it's a personal story. You can't really express it. But when you have music that's written with lyrics, they're telling you a story. Yeah. And that story may bring you back to a certain part of your life. But regardless, it's still very direct. But when it comes to ambience, you need to capture that feeling. It's all about that feeling. It's hard to capture that feeling, but you need to find a way to capture that atmosphere and that feeling. And that's why I take sound samples. That's why I need to go jogging and go around not hearing anybody else's work, because I need to hear the world around me in order to produce something. I don't sample anything. I would
reiterate that exactly. You made the point I was going to say is that's exactly what it is about certain music with no vocalization. Ambient music, yes, but some music I listen to even without like a vocalist also hits that for me, where it's like it allows you to be the lead in that part.
It does.
Actually, ambient specifically, because there's certain things like Animals as Leaders. No. Do you know?
Yeah, I know.
Do you know him?
Oh God, I love that band.
Tobin Abashi or something.
Yeah. I used to have their entire anthology.
That's not really. It's not super like you're the main character, you're the lead in that. Yeah. Compared to like more ambient stuff where it's exactly like you said. Like it's not directly they're telling you a message. It's you're experiencing whatever message you're feeling. I mean, there's a little bit of an emotion that's definitely evoked in whatever it might be, but then you're applying that emotion to your own life.
Oh yeah. See, for me, I grew up listening to a lot of Barbra Streisand because my mother, and a lot of like concert pieces, jazz music, classical composers from the Romantic period, like Rachmaninoff. But still with that, and even then going to like growing up and like me hearing Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park for the first time, and then that going into Saliva, and that going into hearing Circa Survive, and hearing different bands that go like a little bit darker. I love grunge, so a little bit darker in terms of grunge. Then that kind of is what inspires me the most. Because still, like, if you hear that, you don't even need to hear the lyrics. You can just hear that and you just know, okay, well, I know what kind of vibe we're working with. You know?
What are you thinking of, like, grunge bands? Like, what's the one of the ones that...
Well,
what are you
most of them
thinking
suck.
Yeah. Are you thinking... you're not thinking of, like, Tool, like, kind of, like...
No,
like,
I'm thinking about around the Nirvana time.
Mm-hmm.
Around the...
like Alice in Chains
time. Their first album from
they
91.
don't suck, you know?
Yeah, no. But, I mean, that's two bands out of what? A whole thing of grunge.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those 90 bands. I don't know. Are you thinking, like, also, like... yeah, I mean, I guess some of those bands get into more, like, metal. Like, I love System of a Down a lot. Yeah, grunge, I like... interesting.
The lead singer for System of a Down, what's his name? Sebastian something? He's an animal. He released an opera album, I think.
Oh, what's his name? Yeah,
he's amazing.
He has a great voice. Yeah, he does do a lot of stuff like
he's
that.
Armenian,
that's more like
he takes the whole like the whole cadence of the Armenian culture and brings it into System of a Down, which is insane.
No, it has a great voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he does have a great voice, and he definitely does like give his own take to too. Exactly. No, you feel that throughout System of a Down. I think they're all. I don't want to say Armenian. I think they might be.
Maybe. I don't really. The way they write their music is very prolific. But going back to what I was saying, like in terms of ambience compared to what I grew up listening to, and then Orion by Metallica. You know like that was like, and then after that, you started seeing that they started incorporating a lot of like that type of atmosphere in their songs, like Unforgiven, Unforgiven 2. It's more like a classical piece.
Unforgiven 2. Ain't nobody referencing Unforgiven 2 out here. That's a great one.
That's probably my favorite song by them, besides Orion.
What about Unforgiven 3?
It's a complete song. They know how to write an album.
What about Unforgiven 3?
Oh, yeah. Well,
shout that out, too.
I love that album.
You like that one?
A lot of people don't like that album. No, 3.
You like 3 too? I like 2 and 3. I found 3 before I found 2. Yeah, 2 is really good.
I heard in a part of my life where I didn't know... Well... So I love Linkin Park so much.
Man, I'm going to have to go listen to that.
I know.
How's 2 go again? Because 2 is like, because it's you that's unforgiven.
Yeah. That's it.
Whoa.
But everything is all like, it's such a complete recording.
Damn.
It really is. It's a complete recording. And like last time I heard something like that, well, Tool's like that. Of course they're like that because they're fucking incredible. But like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, you talk about Tool, you just said that. You're like, they're fucking incredible. Yeah. And then you start thinking about the Tool songs, and there's no, like, that shit affects you. So, like, that shit is amazing. There's nothing more amazing in this world than some of what Tool has written to me. So, like, for me to be a podcaster when it's like, I'm thinking about what Tool is.
No. Like, you can't compare yourself to anybody else. You can't compare yourself to anybody else.
But they're so fucking...
Yeah, it is. And like, I know what you're feeling. Because that destroys... Because you can write something... or do something and spend 100 hours on it. Because most things, like when you produce a record, it takes 90 hours just to write the record. Then you gotta mix it. But still, like I'll spend all that time on it, then I'll go back and hear Tool, and I'm like, I'm nowhere near close where I want to be. And I feel so happy. But that you can't.
No, I'm not saying compare yourself to Tool. I'm saying that inspires me to be like, well, I want to be in the field of creating something like that. I want to take a shot at doing something like that because what they did is magnificent. Yeah. And there's not a lot of people that could do that.
Well, they're also almost in their 60s.
There's not a lot of tools. What's up?
They're also almost in their 60s. They've been doing it for 30, 40 years. And it's all experience.
Like, one of those albums came out, Undertow came out 30 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So, like, they were 30 then. You know, they were 20 when they came out with Opioid or whatever the first album is that they, you know, I'm just saying, like, there's not a lot of that out there. There's bands that are that good that you can name on one hand.
Well, also like the normal song you'll hear or that'd be popular would be 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 4. It depends. But 4, some people consider 5 minutes can be really, really long, which is so weird to me. Some people do consider that to be really long.
I mean, a lot of the songs that you look at that are popular today, are like 2 minutes and shit.
Yeah. So like something like Tool, that'll never be popular. But I mean, all of that though, that's how I knew I wanted to be a producer because I don't listen to lyrics. I listen to an entire thing. Like something like Orion or something like Tool or anything else. All the bands I mentioned, they all were going. They started one place and ended at another place, and you were a different person when that song ended. You know, so it's very, very different. But ambience. There's different types of ambient music. There's a guy named William, I think Bobinski. He's this Polish guy, but he'll create like an hour long of just nothing, of just atmospheres.
Yeah.
But because I grew up listening to a lot of jazz and a lot of the artists I mentioned, I need to have something leading, and going somewhere. Like for my favorite album ever will always be Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. Just because it was written whenever it was written, maybe in the 80s. But when it came out, it was people didn't like it because it was way before its time. But there was a lot of ambience. They weren't following an actual structure. Of course the trumpet led, and like back then they didn't have echo machines, they didn't have delay machines, so like they actually had to do their own stuff, so you hear it, like when you get a chance, listen to Miles Davis Bitches Brew, and then you'll hear him be like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard for the 80s. And then that really led to now, like to the electronic music we're listening to now, or anything like that. It leads to right now, and then from that I see a correlation between when I started listening to music and up to this point, you know, with the bands I like and what I'm into. So, I mean, a lot of the reason why, summing it all up, a lot of the reason why I like the music I like is because, like, I grew up listening to those classical composers and those jazz bands and stuff, you know? Like, I consider that real music. And at one point, I'm going to have to, like, I definitely have to get better at piano, but at one point, I'm going to have to, like, grow some balls and go perform at a jazz club, because jazz is like the ultimate, like any great musician you see has done jazz. Yeah. You know?
I mean, I definitely, I don't really like delve into the jazz world all that much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big rock and roll guy.
Uh-huh.
And that really came from, you know, my dad was a Beatles guy, big Beatles guy, big Beach Boys guy. And those are the first two bands that really stuck with me. You know, my uncle liked the Doors and Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. So really all that is where I came from. And then from that, you know, you turn into Metallica and Slayer and metal and stuff like that, you know. And then you're at Dream Theater and Tool. Exactly.
That's how it ends up.
Because you like complex. But I guess there's some potential jazz or complex influences in Tool and Dream Theater a little bit to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah, with how things are written. It can be. I mean, the music is beautiful. That's all everything is.
Music is beautiful.
I can't see how anybody can have an ego and just think that you're better than anybody else. I mean, if anything, it makes you more of a human. You know, it's more humanistic, because as a human, we're different people every day, like I always bring up, and it's all perception. Like, you may feel a different way about something.
Are we different people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are we all the same person?
Like, there's not a single human being in this world who is exactly like another. Mm-hmm. Like snowflakes.
But aren't we all the same person? Or do you not subscribe to that belief?
Like, we're from the same place, so we're the same person in that way.
Uh-huh. But you know, like the light theory, that we are all born of the one light and we will all go back into the one light?
Yeah.
Kind of like we're all one connected.
I do know that. But also,
specimen.
We are sent here for a reason, maybe to collect information or to learn something, to learn about each other, to go through shit, like to build ourselves up and then break down. And then
it's interesting.
Back up again, you know, because really, I mean, life is crazy, because like you'll go through a lot of shit yourself and then wonder, am I the only one going through this shit? Like, am I the only one like hurting like this? But really, like, there's a point in life where, like, when you become a child to an adult, when you realize that, like, your parents are just people trying to make it.
Yeah, no, you know? I know. When I realized that was a big, like, whoa.
Yeah. Like, we used to think of the world with that.
And then people trying too. Yeah, exactly. You think they're perfect, but it's like they're freaking people trying too.
There's like, all right, you tried your best, now get out there and try to do it. And then when you come back with your head down, they're like, okay, now you're learning. That's what it is. Especially as men. Like, we gotta get out there and get the shit beat out of us, and then it's like, you gotta keep going, because if you're not living, you're dying. You know,
if you ain't living, you're dying.
If you ain't living, you're dying.
You heard that, folks.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. I think we got a couple stuff. I feel like we could keep going here.
We could go for hours.
But I think we'll cut. I think we'll cut her here.
Yeah.
Cut our. I had some, yeah, no.
Hell of a time, man. Thanks for inviting me.
No, I'm really happy to have you here. I always think that, you know, you always have a lot of I called you the Oracle before. You definitely have a lot of insight. You have a very interesting
so much
insight.
Shit, it's like I was almost homeless at one point.
There's certain things. Well, there's certain things that I feel like are behind closed doors that like you can unlock.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have certain information, like definitely, you possess. I don't know how to put it into words, but you possess a lot of insight that I respect.
Yeah,
on a big level.
The thing is too, it's never really advice. It's just the things that I've done that work for me. Like if anyone tries to give you advice, it makes
no. I don't feel like you
know
come from a way like you talk about like ego. Like you don't come from a way of like, hey, this is how you got to do it.
Yeah,
it's more of like the way that you realize the way certain things are is just very interesting to me because it's like things that I've also seen. You know, there were points obviously where I said it on this podcast where you made some good points. Yeah. Where it's like those are things that I see, but sometimes don't even know how to vocalize it. And you say those things all the time, and I'm like, yo, like, what's this man has the information.
Yeah, this is what it is.
Just to hype you up a little bit.
I feel like I'm 50. I'm 31, by the way. I'm not that old.
But it ain't like that. It's not the age. It's nothing like that, you know, because like I said, you know, I feel and understand some of those things. I just feel like you as well, like, know all those things that are like, and I'm just know those things, like what things, Alec? But just like, I don't know, information that more you feel than you can see. You know, no, great minds, and that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. That also
correlates to me working with music, the feeling, ambience, and so which is so funny now that you're bringing that up. But
exactly. It's you almost like are really good at reading between the lines, so to speak. And music is something. You're exactly right. That is like it's trying to speak to you between the lines.
It is. It's just trying to touch you personally. Something you can't vocalize, and that's why I love it.
Yeah. It's like,
But at the same time, it is kind of like chasing the purple dragon. You're never going to chase the purple dragon.
100%.
But it's just like, it's something that you're going towards, you know? It's one step. If you're religious, you can say one step towards God. You can say one step towards your heaven. You know, where like everything you make, you want to hear back and listen. Because even like I said before, your podcast, you could go down the line like years later and listen to this and be like, I know exactly what I was going through at that time. Like, I know exactly why I sound like that. No one else understands why I sound like that, but I know how I sound like that. You know?
Nah, brother, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on.
Definitely, man.
Appreciate it
Always.
big time. My fellow brother from the same town and everything, but thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
This has been episode 36 of the Ice Room. 36, 7,
Gonna
5.
keep shit going.
What are those numbers? I don't know what number. But we were glad to have you on, my brother.
Always.
We're all finished. We'll wrap her up, and that'll be it. Thank you.